Hello and welcome to my webinar, A Roadmap to Bullying Prevention. My name is Jim Rhoads, and for the next 10 minutes or so I hope to bring some clarity to the issues of implementing a research-based anti-bullying program in your school or community. My work with FEA and bullying prevention has taken me from one end of the state to the other, answering district questions and concerns regarding everything from what constitutes bullying to what strategies work to eradicate this serious issue. First, we must recognize that bullying is like snow here in the north. It comes around every winter, and we simply have to deal with it when it does. We have been managing bullying for the past 40 years or more, and many programs and ideas have come and gone. So what is different now? Certainly, the inappropriate use of technology has created a whole new way to bullying someone. And sadly, the amount of teens related to bullying is, to say the least, distressing. So what is it that works? What must we do differently? What is it that research is telling us? It is important to note that up to now, most of the programs and curricular materials that have been produced focus primarily on changing the bully or the victim. Research is clear on this point. In order for bullying to be managed effectively, the goal must be to change the climatology of the building. In other words, we must utilize strategies that address bystander behavior. Consequently, we must focus our attention to changing the social norms and attitudes of the school, to make bullying uncool, and to have students feel that bullying simply is not what we do here. One of the major tenets gleaned from research is that for an anti-bullying program to be effective, it must emphasize trust, rapport, and relationship. Put another way, students who know and like each other tend not to bully each other. Additionally, everyone must use a common language when discussing and managing the issues of bullying. It is important to begin by making sure we have a common understanding of what bullying is and what it is not. Dr. Dan Oveas defines bullying. Bullying is when someone repeatedly and on purpose says or does mean or hurtful things to another person who has a hard time defending himself or herself. This simple language definition should be posted in every classroom, in certain areas of the school, and on the district's website. It should be mailed home to parents. Teachers need to reinforce the language of the definition in class and at specific class meetings about bullying. In this way, everyone will begin to look at the nature of bullying in a similar way. The common language gets embedded into the everyday dialogue, removing the confusion as to what bullying is or what it is not. Before specifically addressing the roadmap to bullying prevention and intervention, it is important to note what strategies are not supported by research and are currently going on in some schools. For example, simple short-term solutions. This is when a district may hire a magician who does a few magic tricks, tells a few jokes, and presents a few anti-bullying messages. It is motivational to the children. However, after the presentation, there is little in the way of follow-up, hence the kids remember the jokes more than the intended message. Secondly, group treatment of children who bully. Hey, we put them all in the same room and they begin comparing notes. Not a good strategy, for sure. Program du jour approaches. This typically happens when curricular materials are purchased each year, creating confusion and inconsistency among staff. Zero tolerance policies for bullying. While we recognize the importance to take a strong stand against bullying behaviors and applying consequence according to code, zero tolerance policies leave little wiggle room when it comes to handling the complexity of bullying. For example, all students that bully will be suspended. If that were the case, in some schools it would mean that more than half the students would be home on suspension. Again, consequences are important and necessary. However, intervention will bring about true change. Finally, mediation and conflict resolution are not recommended nor supported in research to resolve bullying issues. To illustrate this point, if I were to tell you that your house was robbed, and we have the robber down at the precinct for you to come down and work things out, Exactly. That sounds absurd. When a child is a victim of bullying, their civil rights have been violated. Other measures are necessary to invoke change and or apply interventions to bring about change.
Okay.
Research shows bullying prevention needs to happen on multiple levels to be effective. It can be defined this way. A multi-level systemic approach consisting of a school-wide component, a classroom-level component, an individual component, and this would mean working with individual students and their parents, and a community component, which garners the long-term commitment of the Board of Education, administration, all district staff, students, parents, and community members. Yes, even the bus driver, cafeteria worker, custodian, and other school adult staff. When everyone is trained the same and understands the same common language, students quickly get the message that bullying just isn't the right thing to participate in. I have listed here two components of what could take place at the school level, and in some cases need to take place. First and most importantly, each school must create a school safety committee. Not only is this recommended in research, it is now New Jersey law beginning in September. The safety committee serves as the pulse of the school. They are the first line of defense, the first line of problem solvers when it comes to incidences of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. The team will give birth to new ideas and strategies for changing the climatology of the building. The second example of a best practice strategy is to administer a bullying questionnaire. The questionnaire serves as baseline data of what is really happening in your schools, where bullying is taking place, how frequently, and how you may stack up against other schools in the nation. At the classroom level, two major things must occur. We must post and enforce school-wide rules that are specific against bullying. These rules, like the definition, need to be taught and posted throughout the room, school, and district. A second component critical to an effective program is to hold regular class meetings. This is when the teacher has an opportunity to instruct, listen, and role play various themes of anti-bullying. Most importantly, assisting in identifying issues that are in the school so that students get first-hand information in how to approach or settle issues that are going on in their own school. Two important components at the individual level that should be included in any training program for bullying are: we must ensure that all staff members intervene on the spot when bullying occurs. We must hold meetings with the student who has been bullied and the student who has exhibited the bullying behavior. And this is the time where we would also include working with parents. Here you see a picture of an activity which identifies the roles that students may play during a bullying incident. Specifically, each student is given an identity and a role to play. Once the activity is over, students get to reflect on their role as to whether they were comfortable, why or why not. The rest of the class can then stand behind the role that they most identify with, sharing their feelings and other perspectives. Overall, once this is done, the activity then becomes embedded into the school culture and helping bystanders to understand where they may shift towards, whether they're going to shift more towards the person who exhibits bullying behavior or whether they're going to shift to the defender to defend the student who is being bullied. Another intervention that is recommended is to create a dialogue for on-the-spot interventions when bullying is being observed in the building. What should the adults do? What steps should they take? Here is an outline of 6 steps that should take place during a bullying incident. First thing, stop the bullying. Next, name the bullying behavior. Impose immediate consequences. Address the bystanders. support the victim, and take steps to protect the victim. It may play out in this way. Should a staff member see bullying, they would walk up to the situation and say, "Stop. What I see here going on is bullying behavior. When you call names or knock books out of someone's hand, that is bullying behavior and it is against our rules." And then address the bystanders by saying something like, "I appreciate your help and support," or if it's more negative, "When you laugh, you are contributing to the situation as well." Then identify consequences if appropriate. There will be consequences for this based on our code and what we have set up earlier in the year. Then turn to the victim and say, "I am sorry this happened to you. Is there something I can help you with? Is there someplace you go? I will be following up with this later. Do you need to see the counselor?" That type of thing. And then most importantly, the follow-up would happen next, and these would be individual conferences and so. And it's important for a staff to develop individual plans and dialogues to address the bully or the victim. For the community level, I've listed two components that are important to include in your plan. First is to make sure you have a community member on your school safety team. And second, to make sure your safety team actively considers developing community partnerships to support your school programs and efforts. So the next time you're asked, what is the best strategy for bullying prevention? You need to say this: prevention must be a multi-level systemic approach consisting of a school-wide component, a classroom-level component, an individual component, and this is working again with the individual students and their parents, and a community component. And it has to garner the long-term support and commitment of the Board of Education, administration, all district staff, students, parents, and other community members. The road to bullying prevention is not an easy one. If it were easy, everyone would have already designed the plan for it. It takes time. It takes commitment. And it certainly takes a lot of effort. For additional information regarding the research and content in this presentation, please take the opportunity to visit the oveus.org website or reach out to the Clemson University website, which has much of the research that was discussed in this presentation. And lastly, those of you who have an interest for additional training, be sure to contact Dr. Jay Doolin at the Foundation for Educational Administration. And good luck on your road to bullying prevention.